Brokerage account types look confusing. They're really three simple choices. Pick wrong, your account freezes. Here's the framework. Same broker, different account type, completely different rules, different leverage, different tax bill, different protections. When you sign up and that account type dropdown asks you to pick, that single click changes more about what you can do with your money than the broker's name on the door. There's a framework that makes this less overwhelming. Every brokerage account is some combination of three things: how it settles and whether you can borrow, who legally owns it and how it's taxed, who places the trades, and what products you can touch. A self-directed Roth IRA cash account is all three at once. So when a broker shows you 15 account types, they're not really 15, they're combinations. Pull them apart and the choice gets simple. One more thing before we start. Buried inside the most basic account on the list is a violation that quietly freezes more beginner accounts than any other rule on the books. We'll get to it. Start with cash, the default account. You deposit, you buy, trades settle T+1. That's trade date plus 1 business day after the SEC shortened the cycle in May 2024. No borrowing, no interest, no margin calls. And critically, exempt from FINRA's pattern day trader rule. Buying power equals cash balance. You can't short, you can't profit from a falling stock. That's the trade-off. Here's the violation I promised. In a US cash account, you can day trade as often as you like, but only with settled proceeds. Sell stock A, buy stock B with that cash, fine. Sell stock B the same day before T+1 settles? That's a good faith violation. 3 of those in 12 months and your broker freezes you to settled cash only for 90 days. New traders trip this constantly because nobody told them cash doesn't mean instant cash. That's the cash side. Margin is where the rules grow teeth. A margin account lets you borrow from the broker, collateralized by the positions in your account. Under Federal Reserve Regulation T, you put up at least 50% of the purchase price and the broker lends the other 50%. Under FINRA Rule 4210, your equity has to stay above 25% of position value. Drop below that and the broker issues a margin call. Here's what nobody tells you. The broker isn't obligated to call you. They can liquidate first to protect their loan. The call is a courtesy, not a right. Run margin without a buffer, at least 10 percentage points above maintenance, and the first thing you'll hear is that half your positions are already gone. The leverage itself, 2-to-1 overnight, 4-to-1 intraday, and a US PDT flagged margin account. Trip the pattern day trader rule, 4 or more day trades in 5 business days, and you need $25,000 minimum equity to keep trading. Interest on the overnight borrowing, 4 to 12% annualized in 2026. That's the real cost of margin, not the leverage cap, the carry. Margin enables short selling, multi-leg options, futures collateral. Cash doesn't. That's the borrowing side handled. The tax side is where you actually keep your gains. A retirement account isn't really a separate account. It's a tax wrapper sitting on top of cash or margin. Traditional IRA, $7,000 contribution limit in 2026, $8,000 if you're 50 or older. Contributions are deductible. Withdrawals taxed as ordinary income. Required minimum distributions kick in at 73. Roth IRA, same limits, opposite tax order. Pay tax now, withdraw tax-free later, no RMDs ever. 401k limits jump to $23,500, $31,000 over 50. Self-employed, SEP IRA or solo 401k goes up to $69,000. The mechanism here is simple. Pay tax now or pay tax later, pick based on whether your tax rate is higher today or in retirement. Most major brokers, Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard, IBKR, E-Trade, support all of these. Forex-only brokers usually don't because CFDs aren't IRA-eligible products. Outside the US, ISAs and SIPs in the UK, RRSPs and TFSAs in Canada, supers in Australia. Different names, same principle. Tax wrapper aside, there's the question of who legally owns the account. Individual is the default. Joint accounts split into 2 flavors that actually matter at death. JTWROS, joint tenants with right of survivorship, assets passed directly to the surviving owner, no probate. Spouse's default here. Tenants in common splits the account into defined shares, and the deceased owner's share goes through their estate. Unmarried co-owners and business partners almost always want tenants in common, not JTWROS. The survivor doesn't inherit by default. Get this backwards and the wrong person ends up with the money. Custodial accounts, UTMA or UGMA, are held by an adult for a minor. The minor owns the assets and takes control at 18 or 21. Trust accounts put a trust as legal owner, estate planning territory, usually for multi-generational wealth. This stuff sounds boring until someone dies. It stops being boring fast. Ownership answered. Now, who actually places the trades? Self-directed is the default at every broker most retail traders know. Schwab, Fidelity, Robinhood, eToro. You click, you trade, you pay nothing for advice. Managed accounts hand the wheel to an advisor. Traditional advisors charge 0.25 to 1.25% of assets under management every year. Wirehouse names, Morgan Stanley, UBS, Merrill Lynch, sit at the top end with broader planning bundled in. Robo-advisors, Wealthfront, Betterment, Nutmeg, Wealthsimple, charge 0.10 to 0.40%. Algorithmic portfolios, automated rebalancing, no human in the loop. Run the math on a $100,000 portfolio. Self-directed costs near zero. Robo-advisor, about $250 a year. RIA, flat fee, around $600. A wirehouse charging 1% takes $1,000 every single year. Compound that 1% drag over 30 years and it eats roughly a quarter of your final balance. The mechanism. Fees compound against you the same way returns compound for you. That's stocks and funds. Forex and CFDs have their own zoo of account types. Standard accounts are commission-free with wider spreads. Owanda, eToro, IG, Plus 500, AvaTrade, good for low-frequency traders. ECN or raw-spread accounts run near-zero spreads plus a flat commission per lot. Pepperstone Razor, IC Markets Raw, FP Markets Raw, Tickmill Pro, cheaper if you trade often, more expensive if you don't. Break even depends entirely on your volume. Then there's the Pro account. Under MiFID II in the EU and UK, you can certify as a professional client and unlock leverage up to 500 to 1 instead of the retail 30 to 1 cap on majors. Sounds great. Look at what you give up. Pro clients lose negative balance protection. They lose investor compensation cover on retail products. They lose clearer best execution rights. You're trading a safety net for leverage you almost certainly don't need. The 500 to 1 figure is marketing. Retail grade protection is worth more than the extra leverage on any account you'd actually fund. Islamic or swap-free accounts replace overnight swaps with a flat admin fee. Sharia-compliant trading, available at most major brokers. Demo accounts are risk-free practice with simulated funds. Always start there. So which account do you actually pick? It's not the marketing label, it's the use case. Long-term investor, cash account at a major broker, wrapped in a Roth or traditional IRA. Consider a robo-advisor if picking funds intimidates you. Beginner anything, cash account or a standard Forex account. Run the demo first. Avoid margin until you have 100 documented trades behind you. Active US stock day trader, PDT-aware margin account at IBKR, Schwab, Fidelity, or Lightspeed with $25,000 ready before you trip the rule, not after. Active Forex trader, ecn-raw-spread account at a Tier 1 regulated broker. Pepperstone, IC Markets, FP Markets are the usual starting points. Algo trader, ECN with API access. Owanda, IBKR, or a C-trader broker. Family wealth, a mix of individual, joint, trust, and custodial accounts. Pair with a tax advisor, not a YouTube video. One last thing on the application itself. U.S. brokers are required under FINRA Rules 2090 and 2111 to ask about your income, net worth, experience, and objectives. Don't inflate any of it. Material misrepresentation makes it harder to dispute losses later, and in some cases voids your investor protections entirely. The application is a contract. Treat it like one. Pick by what you're actually trying to do, then pick the broker.
Match the account to your use case, then pick the broker. Full breakdown linked in the description.